Healthy vegan snacks, my favorite thing to cook. Today we have 3 recipes that we're going to try. All of them are full of vegetables. They are low calorie density and they're absolutely delicious. Now, my cat has been helping me cook today. By helping, I mean she's been squealing. So I've currently got her outside. So she's squealing a bit more than usual. So today we have, look at this guys, peanut butter and jelly pancakes. Oh, so good. There's some hidden vegetables in that, just you wait. We have a savory snack. Now this is my version of Philadelphia cheesesteak. That is made with all vegetables, that top bit, and it's umami and salty and just really going to suit when you're craving a quick, easy, low-calorie, savoury snack. By the way, also awesome on potatoes as a meal. And this one is my apple crumble. Now, this doesn't look as appetizing as what I wanted it to, so let's get it out onto a plate and see what it looks like. Oh, nice top. Oh yeah, delicious. Look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh, so good. Yum, look at that. So without further ado, let's get cooking with all of these guys. Can you think of anything more delicious than peanut butter and jelly pancakes? So what if I said I could make them healthy and I could sneak some veggies in and the kids would never know? Well, this is going to have 55 grams of protein, this recipe, so that's a little bit awesome. Let's show you how to make it. First, we're going to start off on the jelly. So I have some frozen berries that I have, well, actually, I'm just going to pop them in the microwave just to defrost them a little bit. This is 1 cup of berries that I have just defrosted in the microwave. This is mixed berries. So this has got strawberries, cherries, black currants, red currants, and I think that's all. This is my favourite mix, but do whatever one you like. But again, the more different types of berries you have, and particularly the darker skin ones, the better it's going to be for your gut health. So just consider that. Now, let's give them a little bit of a mash up. So I'm going to thicken my jam up with, traditionally I would do it with chia seeds. But because I want to add another ingredient to my list and because I am such a huge fan of basil seeds, I'm going to put them in there as well. Having a bit of trouble mashing this. I might have to fast forward the video so I don't bore you all to tears. Let's put in a tablespoon of chia seeds. Actually, let's do 2. Omega-3s in your vegan diet is essential. And then 1 tablespoon of the sweet basil seeds. And I'm going to use, again, a little splash of stevia. Just because for some reason I've been having some, not stress, but there's a lot of things going on in my life, so I'm craving sweet things more than normal. And I'm okay with that. Life has ebbs and flows and, you know, just go with it. Go with it, but do it responsibly. Okay, can you see that? It'll take a while for those seeds to swell up. A basil seeds swell up a lot quicker than the chia seeds. Let's get started on the pancakes. The secret ingredient that I'm going to put into these is cauliflower. So this is just some frozen cauliflower, about half a cup. And I've also got a tiny, like that much of frozen banana. I'm going to mix that up with the soya milk. So we want 1.5 cups of milk in this recipe. So Now I'm using soya today, unsweetened soya milk, but you can use whatever plant-based milk makes your heart happy. 1.5 milk. And to that, I'm going to put in a wee splash of apple cider vinegar, and that's going to kind of give it a bit more of a buttermilky kind of situation happening. And the reason why I'm doing it in here, obviously, is I need to get that cauliflower combined. All right, that's all blended up nicely. Well, we're going to do the rest of our ingredients in here because that just makes it easy. So I have some vanilla paste. Use as much or as little of that as you like. I know it's quite expensive, so do whatever you need to do. Now, I'm using date molasses today as my sweetener. I don't want to put a lot of that in because sometimes it makes the pancakes burn a little. So I'm going to use my fingers because it's only me eating this. Yum. Oh, I love date molasses. Pinch of salt is always good in pancakes. Now, excuse me, limping, I did just pull my groin muscle. All right, just make sure I've got everything. Great, so that is all my wet ingredients. I'm going to give that one more blitz up just to make sure that's well combined. Now for our egg replacement today, we are going to use some chia seeds. I'm just going to eyeball it. That's not even chia seeds, by the way. That is basil seeds. So I've got some basil seeds in there, so a tablespoon of flaxseed, and a tablespoon of chia seeds. Now I know that's a lot of seeds and a lot of thickener, but the reason why we have to do that is because of the cauliflower. So when you're adding some extra, goodies into your pancake, it changes the consistency, and so it makes it a little bit harder to work with. So that will compensate for that. Onto our dry ingredients. I have a cup of oat flour. So that's just oats that I've chucked into this NutriBullet and blitzed up until they became powdery. Now, this is powdered peanut butter. Lots of people know PB2. This is an Australian product by Macro Mike. And it is just slightly higher in protein. So I am going to use, how much of that do I want? 3/4 cup. I can just use that. 3/4 cup. This is going to give us the peanutty flavour. 3/4 cup of peanut powder. I suppose you could use just peanut paste or a nut butter or a seed butter or something, and then you would just use a little bit less milk. But this has got the fat taken out of it, and that's why I love it. I'm going to put a tablespoon of baking powder in there. I know that's a lot, but that's intentional. And because we have some apple cider vinegar in here, let's put a bit of bicarb of soda in as well, and that will react and get a bit fluffy, but we don't want much because we don't want the flavour coming through. And last but not least, about a tablespoon of corn flour is going into there. That was a bit more, but no worries. Give that a stir around. I can't for the life of me remember if I put salt in there, but if I didn't, you'll remember that, right? So our dry ingredients, I'm going to give our wet ingredients a bit of a mix up. Wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. Give that a little mixy mix. It will appear slightly runny in the beginning, but we're going to rest this for a couple of minutes and give those seeds a chance to do what they need to do. While our batter is sitting, I'm going to have another look at the jelly. Oh, it's really hard now. Excellent. Perhaps a little bit too hard. Now, if that's the consistency you like your jelly on top of your pancakes, you are good to go. I like mine slightly runnier. So I am going to add at this point a bit of maple syrup to that. Well, imitation maple syrup, but let's pretend it's real. And I reckon that's going to be the perfect consistency. Look at that. Oh, oh, oh. So good. Now, if you taste it and you still got a crunch from the chia seeds, add a bit of water, or in my case, a little bit of syrup to give it some more chance to kind of expand and get gelatinous. That is now looking super good. Time to go and cook them. The mixture has had a chance to thicken up with the seeds, and there's also a lot of air in there, so that's what we want to see. And I've heated my pan up, and that's the secret to using no oil. Pop it onto a nice hot pan. I'm just going to do cute little ones today. Does help if you can get them round, but we won't get too carried away with that. And then what we are waiting for, I'm going to turn it down a wee bit. We're waiting for all of the bubbles to rise and for the top to peak. Oh, can you hear my cat in the background? Her whole life she has been an inside cat, and just recently I've been letting her go outside into the backyard supervised just for a few minutes at a time, and she was wanting to get out. So we're just waiting for, like I said, the bubbles to pop out. Oh my goodness, pussy. And it to be a little bit dry on the top. Now I'm just going to lift the pan up just a little bit to cool it down a wee bit. Now remember when I told you when you put the sweetener into the mix, it can make them burn, and they need enough time to be ready. So by lifting the pan up and cooling it down just a slight bit, you give yourself a little bit longer without it burning. Let's look. I think we might be able to turn them over now. Oh, success. Oh, just the right colour. How good are they looking? Can't believe there's cauliflower in there. It's such a great way of reducing the calorie density, but also tricking the kiddies. And you will never taste it. Let's give it another minute. All right, I think that's probably enough. Let's pop that onto the plate. Ooh. While I wait for those to cook, let's have a look at this guy. Still looking amazing. Peanut butter and jelly. So I'm keeping with the peanut butter and jelly theme. I'm going to make sure it is really peanutty. So I'm going to add another heaping dessert spoon, and a bit more, of my powdered peanut butter. And I'm going to use some maple flavoured monk fruit sweetener. Again, use maple syrup if you want to keep it strictly whole food plant-based. But what we want to do is just mix it round until it is a drizzle consistency, and that we are going to drizzle over the top. This is such a quick and easy sauce, and if you kind of leave it at this consistency, really nice spread on crackers. A bit more. let's get that last one off. So this actually made quite a lot of pancakes. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on stack. I've eaten one. There's one more there, so that's 8. And I made a couple of big fat ones, and that's going to be my lunch today. So back to the drizzle. And of course, you can just use water instead of maple syrup to make your drizzle. But I just like to show that weight loss can actually be decadent. You don't have to deprive yourself. You can have some treats. And because of the amount of protein in these guys, you can actually use it for a breakfast. Oh my goodness, can you hear my cat? This is my little Lola. And I'm not sure how much of her yapping I'm going to be able to cut out of this video. So I thought I'd just show you so you know who's making all that noise. Oh, you're making it. Oh, hello. Do you want to go outside, my baby girl? Oh, are you looking at my pancakes? They're pretty good, aren't they? Okay. Oh my goodness! Stop! Oh goodness. Alright, I think that's drizzly enough. I like to make things pretty, but it doesn't always work well. So let's see how we go. It's more of a blob than drizzle. That's okay. It's going to taste good. Post in the comments any pictures that you make. And then show me up. And next, we want our jelly. Peanut butter and jelly pancakes. Best snack ever. Yum. Yum, yum. Oh gosh. And a couple of pumpkin seeds on the top. Oh. Yeah. Love it. I am calling this one a snack recipe, but it could easily be a lunch or a dinner. This is my version of Philly cheesesteak, and we are going to use for this recipe carrots, mushrooms, and onions, and they are going to be our steak. We're going to season them up with some seasonings that's going to make it kind of beefy, and you won't believe how delicious this is and how quick it is to make into a snack. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm just going to take my carrots top and tails off. Get them out the way. Now, without even bothering to peel the carrots, I am just going to slice them. See what that does? Hopefully you have a peeler like this. You could use a mandolin if you could get it thin enough. It gets a little bit tricky, but you know what might be helpful? If I anchored it. Let's try this. Yeah. Oh, now we're rolling. Now I'm going to serve this on just one of these rice crackers because it's just a snack. But you could do it on some toasted bread. You could do it on a bun like the real things. Or you could serve it on some rice, I reckon. Maybe chuck in some other vegetables. Who knows? Let me know in the comments if you get all creative with it. It looks like a fair amount now, but that's all going to melt down in the pan. And let's just get our mushrooms prepped. So we're just going to chop up our mushrooms. I'm not bothering to wash them or wipe them because I have this belief that it helps your microbiome to get a bit of that. And I have a strong enough constitution to be able to deal with that. I never get gastro. But I'm not a doctor. Don't take my advice. You do what feels right for you. Okay, so now remembering, when we've done this, we're actually using 3 non-starchy vegetables. So this is going to be super low in calorie density. So depending what you choose to pair it with, I reckon it would be so nice over a baked potato. But like I said, low calorie density, great little snack. You do not need to feel guilty at all with this one. So let's go over to the oven and we'll cook it up. Now you guys know that I don't use any oil, but if you want to use oil, you go ahead and do that. I just keep a container of water handy and use the water whenever I need to. So what we want to do is we want to get a little bit of colour on the onions, and we want to make sure that they're nicely softened. So that probably will take 2 to 3, maybe even 4 minutes. And I'm just going to watch them so they don't stick. I'm not going to move them around too much in the beginning because that's what's going to help get that caramelization. But the minute they start to catch, you want to get some water in there. Now that's been a while, so we'll just move them around. Still going well. What you can do at this stage is put a bit of salt in there, and that little bit of salt will bring out the water. Not necessary if you are keeping your salt content down, although I will say the other ingredients in this recipe are a little bit salt heavy. So bear that in mind if that's an issue for you. I think then I'll put my mushrooms in now, because that's going to also give a bit of moisture to the pan. And let that cook down. Now that's starting to catch. So this is where we want to put a little bit of water in. And it actually does take a while to cook the carrots down to the right consistency. So I think we will pop them in now. And there's nothing like a bit of steam to get things happening quicker. A bit more water, and we're going to pop the lid on for a minute or 2. It's been a minute or so. Let's check on it. I think we might start with some of the flavourings. This is where the magic happens. So what we want is a tablespoon of tomato paste, a tablespoon of Mighty Mite. That's the Australian version of Australian alternative to Vegemite, but it is gluten-free. I'm just going to give that tomato paste a bit of time on the burner, because it's always good to fry off your tomato paste. We're going to do a hearty sprinkle of Worcestershire sauce. Now, if you are strictly vegan, you need to read your ingredients. This particular one that I'm using doesn't have any anchovies in it, so it's fine to use. And 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. That's 1. That's about 2. A hearty crack of pepper in there. I'll probably add some more on the top later as well. A little bit of garlic powder and some liquid smoke. Now, this stuff is potent, so you don't need much. We are going to let that all make friends and marry in the pan for a little while. Teeny bit of water in there just so it doesn't burn. I'm going to turn my burner all the way down and pop the lid on. And I'm going to let that simmer for about 5 minutes. It's been a couple of minutes. I'm just going to stir it, check on it, make sure it's all doing well. And it is. I've still got enough moisture in there. So let's go back with the lid. Okay, that's been a couple of minutes. Let's see how we're going. Yeah, see, that's kind of the consistency we're looking for, but I just don't think it's cooked enough. So I'm going to try a bit, and if it needs some more cooking, we're just going to add a little bit more water and give it a little bit more time. See if I can find a little piece. There you go. Yep, it's definitely going to need a little bit longer. So let's put tons of water in there. Clearly my lid's not fitting as good as it could. Okay, let's assemble this. It's looking and smelling absolutely amazing. So I, like I said, have just got a couple of those rice crackers. I'm just going to pop a little bit of our Philly beefsteak right over the top like that. Oh yeah. Oh, it looks like I have enough left over to put on a baked potato. I'm so going to do that for lunch. Okay. Drop that on there. Don't they look amazing? Now at this point you could put any cheese sauce that you like on, but because I've got this base which needs to stay as dry as it can, I'm just going to pop on some nutritional yeast as my cheesy flavoured component. And because I just love pepper on everything, that is my very healthy, plant-based, vegan, savoury snack. Let's give it a try. That's good. So what's amazing about this apple crumble, not only is it whole food plant-based, it also has about 36 grams of protein in it. So it's an absolute power bomb, and it's going to make snacking for you super, super healthy. So I am the lazy chef today. So rather than chopping up my apples and all of that thing, I just got a can. So this is Pink Lady apple slices in juice, but it's just apple juice and it's got no added extra sugar. So I am going to pop that in just as is. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes when you feel like a snack, it's not necessarily because you're hungry, it's because you're craving something. Now, there's lots of ways to combat that, and you know, lots of people talk about stabilizing your blood sugar and yada yada yada, but I like to listen to my body, and if I feel like something sweet, I'm just going to eat something sweet, because that's how I plan to live this lifestyle forever and never feel deprived. But the secret is, my friends, to make sure that your sweet stuff is whole food plant-based and it's not too terrible for you. Also, it doesn't hurt if you go for a bit of a walk afterwards. So popping all of that in there. Now, because there's a little bit of juice in there, I have got some tapioca starch. So I'm just going to pop that in. And like I said, sometimes, you know, some people might find that sweet enough, but I'm just going to be a wee bit naughty and I'm going to put some maple syrup. Now, this isn't whole food plant-based. This isn't real maple syrup. I ran out. So just pretend it is. And when you do yours, maybe do a bit better than me. But hey, it's okay. Let's not get carried away. Let's treat our bodies like a temple, but not the kind of temple where there's rules and regulations and you can't get any joy out of life. And also, of course, it makes a difference if you're in weight maintenance or if you are in a weight loss phase. So, like I said, adjust it to what works for you. Now, I like my apples to be a little bit spicy, and also I am trying to get more diversity in my diet. So there's been a lot of talk recently about the microbiome, and that having at least 30 different plant-based foods a week is going to keep your gut healthy. So I'm sure I eat way more than 30, but it doesn't hurt to get more in. So oops, don't be scared to chuck a little bit of something different and extra in your recipes. What I don't want it to feel like, though, for you guys, is that the recipes are so complicated because they've got so many things in there. So remember, there's base ingredients and there's just some added optional things that you can or can't put in. It's up to you. So while I'm at it, let's just do a little bit of vanilla extract in there. Okay. Probably would have been prettier if I did this in another bowl and transferred it, but it's all good. So this will just be a serving for 2 or 3. So like I said, what was the 36 grams of protein. So if you're sharing it with somebody else, you've got to factor that in. Next, let's do our crumble. Now, a bit of a disclaimer. I have only ever tried this with fresh bananas, but I ran out in my sample one. So I have got a banana that was frozen. It's now defrosted a little bit. And it's really quite yucky, to be honest. So that is probably going to have a little bit more water in it because it's been frozen. So I don't know if that's going to change the texture. But this recipe works with a fresh banana. And the riper it is, obviously, the better it's going to be in terms of sweetness for you. So we're going to mash our banana. In with 1 cup of oats. Now, I eat gluten-free, but I am aware in Australia, oats aren't considered gluten-free by the Celiac Association. Now, my understanding, and I'm not a doctor, and I, just don't take this as gospel advice, but this is what I heard. The reason for that is because in Australia, there is not dedicated mills to oat production. At least there never used to be. So there was always going to be some potential wheat cross-contamination. Also, oats actually do have a protein in it that for a small percentage of celiacs can be problematic. So I actually did a trial in conjunction with my gastrologist where I ate oats for a period of 6 months and then had another test, and they're fine for me. But so when I say it's a gluten-free recipe, I want you to bear in mind if it has oats in it, it's a decision you have to make, whether you consider that gluten-free, and it may be a discussion that you need to have with your doctor. Okay, before I get too carried away mixing all of that, I'm going to go in with a bit more of vanilla, because who doesn't love vanilla? And we're going to put some peanut butter powder in there. I'm just looking at my recipe. I said 2 tablespoons in my recipe. Now, of course, if you want to raise the protein amount, do 2 tablespoons or 3, whatever. There's kind of no rules, and because this is a crumble, as long as we're getting the texture kind of right, no big deal. Now, for some extra crunch, extra deliciousness, and again, another plant-based food to, head towards our 30 list, I have some sesame seeds. No, I have some sunflower seeds. So I'm going to pop that in, extra crunch, extra protein, and another plant. Did I put, I'm going to put some cinnamon in here as well. The cinnamon is delicious. Now that banana should have enough sweetness in it, but I would like to have it a little bit sweeter. So I have some stevia. It would be ideal if I actually had my stevia plant growing. I've got some seeds. So then it would be natural and it would be a whole food. But leave that out if you need to. You can also put some brown sugar or any of the things that you like. But what you're looking for is kind of a little bit of a crumbly texture. So I'm going to get my hands in it. They already were clean, but let's clean them again. And we're going to just feel how that feels. It's feeling pretty good. I'm a messy cook. Half the fun. It is feeling a little bit wetter than it did in my trial one, and I think that's because the banana was frozen, but I still think it's going to be all right. Well, actually, what I might do, just to be sure, I want to pop in a little bit of corn flour because I do like my crumble to have that crunchy texture. So that's about a teaspoon. All right, that's good. This recipe is nearly done. How easy was that, right? So we're just going to crumble it over the top. Try and get it kind of that crumbly look and texture and stuff. And this one is now ready for the oven. So I'm going to pop that into the oven at about 100. I'm going to put it in my air fryer. So I'm going to reduce the temperature down to 170. But if you're doing it in your oven, 180 is fine. For about 15 to 20 minutes.